Hey. Yeah, we
Hey,
Hello. Happy Monday. We had a great discussion on Pastor Josh Harris's author of I Kiss Dating Goodbye earlier in the show. But first, before we dive in, make sure you share the comments. Make sure you like us, love us, all of that. It helps us with the Facebook algorithm if you want these conversations to go out there. Exactly. Love Brian. Yeah.
Aww.
Today, we're going to continue the discussion that we had on dating. But our question is it true that the dating culture encourages divorce? Does it really? Does it really encourage divorce?
Because this popped up even when we posted this article on our Facebook page during the show this morning.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people agreeing with that essential idea. And Josh Harris
Right.
wrote this book, which, by the way, he later apologized for the core thesis, that he was wrong about the idea that the best solution to rampant divorce is to don't date, just court, which again is the idea that you would date with parents' approval, with the not date, but you would be in a relationship with the intention of leading towards marriage.
Right.
And you wouldn't kiss until you got married. He disavowed all that. But his reason may still be true, ultimately. Is the modern dating culture, what are you saying? Is the modern dating culture, does it really promote divorce?
Does it really? Because, like, I printed this and forgot to get it, so Brian, sorry. I'll read it. It's Scott on Facebook. This morning he said, we live in a breakup culture. It is too easy to move on from a relationship when it's decided that it has become difficult or inconvenient. And that's kind of what we do. What? Isn't that what we do in dating, though?
Well, but hold on. Now, before we get that far, let's just get real here for a minute. Janelle, did you date before marriage, before Len?
I did.
Like a lot?
Compared to him, I did. He only had one other girlfriend besides me. I just think it's because there weren't a lot of awesome people available. I lived in the city, though. Yeah, I dated like 3 guys before Len.
Okay. Ron?
So
Long pause.
I can think of one girl for sure that I dated before Dana.
Like for a long period of time, you're saying? Or at all?
At all, really.
Okay.
The one-offs, homecoming dance, prom, all those kind of things.
You're just breaking hearts on those dances, left and right. No, yes. Is that?
It was something like that, yeah.
And now Kelly is the single among us, but
I'm single.
you've dated before.
I have dated before.
Okay.
A lot?
No, I've only dated 2 people.
2 people, and she's in her late 20s.
I
What
know.
was I doing?
You're not gonna ask me?
Brian, how many women did you date
I lost
before?
track. I'm not gonna tease it. I did I had a lot of junior high girlfriends. Had a couple different girlfriends in high school. Dated in college. But I did not subscribe, because remember, I graduated high school in 1997 when this book was released.
Yeah.
I did not subscribe to this concept. However, I think there's something, and I mean, I'm the guy that loves the extreme, right?
All the time.
I love the extreme.
That's how he makes his points. He makes them really extreme. Go ahead.
By the way, Jeffrey loves the topic. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Deborah, what's up? I love your question. We'll get to it in 1 second. Deborah, hi. Joe, you always log in. Michelle, hi, Michelle.
Hi.
Jennifer says she's so glad that she can watch us on Facebook. She lives in Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania, but moved to Altoona, Pennsylvania, and can no longer listen.
Well, I'm glad you can listen on the app, by the way.
Yes, download the Moody app, and you can listen every day, 6 to 9. And hello, Melanie.
But let's be serious here. Isn't it extreme to say that anytime you're dating and you break up with someone, it's because you reach a crossroads where you go, wow, we've got this conflict, we can't resolve it, obviously we're not marriage material.
No, that's not usually how it happens.
How does it happen then?
Jennifer, thank you. She likes my hair. Thank you.
So with your
She
husband
said
and your
off
kids?
topic. No, it usually happens where you're like, I don't know if I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Like,
Even
it's
that's
not. We're
dramatic,
not.
though. Like, wasn't there, I mean, I dated some girls where I was like, wow, you're boring.
Right. That's
I
what
don't
it
wanna-
is. Exactly.
I mean, forget this whole,
Yeah.
we're not gonna get married business. It's like, oh my goodness, I've been on a few dates and you are boring. I don't want to be with you Not even like,
Forget
let's
marriage.
be friends,
I
forget
just
marriage.
don't want to.
I don't even want
Right.
to date you. You're so boring. Right? But
Yeah,
it's not this
true.
melodramatic moment of, wow, we've reached this conflict.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we can resolve it. No, it's boring. Or you're weird. And I broke up with you because you're
Oh,
just
weird.
Well, Ron, help me here.
I guess
No,
that's
wait,
true.
hold up. Because my issue with that kind of stuff, if you're breaking up with somebody because they're boring, my question is, dang, like, can you be friends for a while and find out before? You
We were.
went all the way to dating to find out they were boring?
Well, no, she was, like, I can think of one girl in particular. I'm
I
not going
mean,
to say her
like-
name. I can think of one girl in particular that she, like, check all the boxes. She was Christian. I mean, in the Christian group in college. She's cute. We laughed. We had fun hanging out. So we started dating, and I had so many times she'd be talking. I'd be sitting there going, I don't know when this is going to end. Like, this is so boring. I just want to fall asleep right now. I know it sounds horrible.
So she wasn't your girlfriend. You
For a
just
short
went on
time,
a
I
date.
think we would have said that.
Okay.
I don't know if we ever had the DTR conversation, but
The
I think it's
DTR.
unfair to claim that dating culture is everybody's dating with the intention of getting married, and they only break up when they find some incompatible moment. I think people break up because they're like, oh, you're annoying, you're weird, you're clingy, you're...
I would classify those as reasons not to get married. Very early steps along the way. That
Yeah.
dating is looking for a mate. And it's, well, I guess maybe not always, because like going to a high school dance, there was no idea that this is for marriage. This is a one-time event, and you haven't been asked yet, and I'm running out of time, so
Yeah,
But here we
yeah.
go.
But even on the, let's say it's prom,
yeah.
you're going to dinner, you're having conversation, you're dancing.
Mm-hmm.
At some level, you're evaluating, would I want to hang out with this person for more than just today? Why or why not?
That's true.
Yeah.
And isn't that the idea of dating? How
Right,
do you
toward
know
marriage.
what compatibility is? How do you know what you're even looking for in a spouse
Yeah.
outside of the essentials? The essentials being, that they love the Lord and they follow Christ.
Yes.
But how could you know if you don't date?
Okay, so let's forget dating. Let's specify. Let's not say a 16-year-old. Let's say you're in your
Yeah.
20s. And if you're a Christian, I'm hoping that you're dating people that you will at least consider. Like, man, maybe this will go somewhere. Maybe let's not call in, because there's an issue I'm having even with my kids and obviously with you guys. Not dating, like boyfriend, girlfriend. Now we're in a formal relationship that could last 2 to 3 years, right? And so eventually when you're in, you may have 2 or 3 of those relationships, right?
Right.
Doesn't engaging in those relationships encourage divorce?
No.
Because if you're in a formal relationship and you get to the point where you're like, ooh, I don't know, and you get out, you can't do that in marriage.
Right.
Len and I almost did that. Len and I, because of immature Janelle, I contemplated the point where I was like, well, I don't know, like maybe we shouldn't be together. And he was like, no, you don't do that.
Sarah
You
and I had the same
work
thing.
past
Yeah.
things. And so we worked past it, and here we are. But that's the point of dating. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking. But it's true. If you can't do that in marriage, so it does
Right.
encourage divorce.
No, but see, here's the flaw in that thinking. And Mike brought this up. He brought up courting as a way to keep the temptations of dating in check. That's the concept of courting. I don't think that's true at all, because here's my question that I think dismantles the idea
Everything.
of courtship.
Okay.
What do you call courtship after you break up? Because there's people who court and then don't get married.
No, then that's
Yeah.
dating.
Right!
Right.
And so you call it courtship, we're courting to see if we're going to get married, and then ultimately you decide not to. You just dated.
Yeah.
You weren't courting, you just dated.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So the only way for courtship to be a real thing is that the first person you court, you marry.
Jeffrey has a good question. I would enjoy hearing an example of a conflict that would be an example of something that many people would quit the relationship over, but they really should work through.
See, that's the question. See, this is the harder thing for me. Because I remember there were, I'm going to sound like I dated a lot, okay? There was a girl I dated, and we were, just to put it gently and generically, 2 very different branches of Christianity, okay? and there were some theological disagreements that were totally incompatible. Like, and we were both saying, you know, I want to raise kids someday this way. And then she would go, no, I want to raise them this way. There's no compromise.
Exactly. That's the
And
reason.
so I saw that was a thing where compatibility was no longer a thing because we've reached a crossroads that I have to choose between my theological convictions
Yeah.
and her theological convictions. And so we broke up.
Right.
That's a reason I think that we found ourselves to be incompatible. Does that
So
make
what
sense?
do you think about that, Jeffrey? Does that make sense to you, Ron?
I think it does. And that's a perfect example of why you
Thank
date.
you.
You go through and these kind of things arise. There'll be some things that you can work out. Maybe she likes country music and you like heavy metal music. And so you're always fighting over the radio. But at some point, maybe you can learn to compromise and
Yeah.
listen to the Majesty channel on Moody Radio. But you come up with some kind of a compromise. Maybe you split time or whatever.
But do you and Dana like the same kind of music?
Overall, yeah.
See, Sarah and I don't.
I'm very flexible on that. So, and she's got a wide variety too. So,
Yeah.
But I mean, for some people that could matter a lot.
yeah.
But for Sarah and me, we have like opposite musical tastes. She doesn't like my music. I really don't care for hers. We're happily married. Somebody might say, well, I love music. That's incompatible for me. Is that incompatible?
It's up to you.
Yeah.
If you're willing to be flexible on that,
Yeah.
or if you're willing, if you're inflexible and you just say, I am only listening to my kind of music. So whenever you're around, you have to listen to my music. Well, then it would be incompatible.
But
and it would
You know what
be
I would say to that?
not loving as Christ loved the church.
Right, exactly. That's where you say, hey, welcome to Dumpsville. Population you.
Oh. Well, I'd also say this. There's a
That's funny. You heard that somewhere. You did not make
Oh, I
that
didn't
up.
say that. I'm too much
No.
Italian.
That's true. I'd say there's also this challenge with online dating is if you're in an argument, you can shut the person off, because it's online. And I would say even over the phone, what I would challenge somebody is try to work through that conflict because that's something that could show up in marriage. If you feel like it's happening all the time, that's most likely a red flag that you need to end it.
Okay, so then based on all this and based on the book, why do you need to date someone? Get to the point where you're a boyfriend, girlfriend to find these things out. How about we go out in groups and we stay friends? I mean, because then you're dating and you're kissing people that you're like, you don't even know
Because there's
where this is going.
There's something about that next level of commitment that brings you to new conflict.
Okay, explain that.
There's certain relational dynamics if you're just hanging out with friends at the movies, you'll never encounter.
You could be friends. Really, you could be best friends. Do you need to kiss somebody and be like
I'm not
2
even
years
talking about
later?
kissing.
Yeah.
Once you have exclusivity, you've said, this is
That.
my person.
Right.
Let's say you've kissed dating goodbye, you could still say, this is my person.
Oh, okay.
Isn't there something about that verbal commitment that creates new types of conflict? Doesn't it?
Yeah, and your discussions, when you're all out in a group, it's a lot more surface level. You don't have a depth to it. And when you're just the two of you together, you tend to go deeper with conversations.
Right.
And so when you're deeper, there's things that weren't there at the surface.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you still haven't addressed the whole thing of does it encourage divorce?
No.
To contemplate someone for a little bit, then be like, oh no, this won't work.
No.
Because you know why though? You know why your answer is not that simple? Because we said in 50 years of marriage, God, let's assume you get all of that time, people change.
Yep.
And you won't get the chance to say, oh wait, hold up, we're not as compatible anymore. You got to stick it through. So how do you know in dating, man, am I just taking the easy way out? Or no, you stick it through and you get married and you make it work because that's what I'm going to have to do 50 years.
No,
or 50 years.
I understand what you're saying.
I would think one indicator would be if you've plowed through 10 or 15 guys in a year, and it's been like, okay, first conflict, nope, not going to work. Next, okay, nope, not going to work. Then you would realize, hopefully about yourself, that I have a problem I have to deal with.
Yeah.
If you see that in another person, you would stay away from somebody who'd been like, oh, this is, we're boyfriend and girlfriend for 2 weeks and it's over. And
Yeah.
next.
Yeah.
You have to kind of evaluate how you deal with conflicts that come up.
Right.
And that's part of the compatibility thing, that if he can work through with you some whatever issues, minor issues even that come up, then you're like, okay, good, this is encouraging.
Yeah. Yeah. Jennifer, somebody shared something. Janet said dating should be intentional. She's taught her kids to date in groups. Jennifer says, but you can have individual conversations with an individual that brings about conflict and not be in a committed relationship. That's what I'm saying. Are we we watering down stuff? Do you need to be all into somebody physically?
Okay, and I'm not even talking
Somebody
about the physical aspect.
Jeffrey said, check this out. You can do all this and just be friends. You can start visiting each other's families and so forth, and be in different situations and be friends. And then once you know, like, oh, you got everything, then you can get engaged 6 months and get married.
That's so clinical. What you're taking out is romantic.
I'm trying to understand.
That's way
Let's
too
really.
clinical.
Okay, go ahead.
Because it's unrealistic to say, oh, that we are friends now. We are good friends. We hang out together. We go to our family's houses. No, there will be some level of physical and emotional and spiritual attraction, right?
Yes, hopefully.
And so it's a level of intimacy that we can't claim as clinical. Like, I'm courting. I am courting now. Are you a good spouse? Am I a good spouse, mommy? Yes, married. It's way more than that.
But does he
That's
have
like a financial
point?
transaction.
No, does he have a point in terms of, oh my goodness, I'm physically attracted to you, but I don't know yet. If you don't know. So you're like, okay, let's be in a committed relationship. We don't have to, if I don't know and I kiss you, now I'm in a position where I'll find out a year, oh, it's not really it. Now I'm kissing the next person. So what I'm saying is, once you visit each other's families, spend time, get to know each other, have the deep conversations because you're best friends, and you're like, okay, now I have enough material to say you may be the one. Now we can get physical. Do you see what I'm saying? Don't we invest a lot while we find out?
Yes.
Yeah.
So he has a point.
Who does? Josh, that it's a
I know
breeding
he
ground for divorce?
apologized. I'm just
Josh
saying.
Harris.
Josh Harris, I'm kissing, dating, goodbye. I am not for kiss at the altar. What I'm saying is, don't we need to think through things a little bit? We invest a lot physically in the process of investigating someone.
Yes, we do. But I think part of the reason that, like, Josh Harris drew that line of kissing, dating, goodbye. So no dating, no kissing, no physical contact.
Yeah.
Or I guess there's hugging allowed. I forget the rules of that theology. He disavowed all of it nonetheless. We're uncomfortable discussing the gray area boundary, physical boundaries in an intimate relationship, in a dating relationship.
Yeah, I think,
We're uncomfortable with that, so we don't. We draw lines, Kelly. We say,
It's so touchy.
no kissing. It's literally
Yeah.
touchy. Yes.
well, and I would say there's a key of moving slow, like going slow, because I think a lot of people get physical very fast, and honestly, it can cause a lot of damage.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a lot of hurt. I know so many people who've been hurt by their dating relationships because they were too physical too fast.
I agree.
Yeah.
Rod says we are having a throw it away and get a new one culture mindset. Has it crept into our relationship philosophy as well? Daniel, we should have a dating 101 discussion. I forgot how.
Well, but to be honest with you, tell me what chapter and verse deals with dating.
Yeah.
Right?
Unless you try to apply stuff about marriage into that as general relationship advice.
But as far as I know, there's no dating advice in the Bible.
No.
Not directly.
Quantaya says accepting each other's flaws and strengths is important. And yes, physical attraction is important. Okay. But accepting your flaws.
Which flaws are acceptable?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. If we keep saying, no, you accept your flaws because that's what we do in marriage,
Which flaws are
could you
acceptable?
miss red flags? I've seen people close to me miss red flags that mattered.
Yes.
You know, but so how far do we go into, no, you just, do you accept Jesus? Is he your Lord and Savior? Mine's too, we'll make it work. Really?
Well,
That's
let's-
what we're going to start saying.
Let's give a practical example. I think Len and I struggled in the same area, and I'm just dragging him under the bus with me here. But I was, even as Sarah, I don't know if she's here right now, but is she? Yes, she's here now. I was I was a selfish jerk when we got married. Super selfish. Still struggle with this. And wasn't Len the guy who said, "Ain't no woman gonna get between me and the gym"?
Yeah.
That's selfish.
Yeah. Or no, more importantly, conversing is like fundamental to engaging with Janelle. If like it's what we would go to restaurants. Like I grew up going to restaurants every Sunday with my family, and the whole family would be talking, conversing. He was like, I don't understand. Like you go to restaurants to eat, and when he said that and we were dating, I was like, oh my gosh, you know. So
he's
to
selfish and
me,
he doesn't want to talk over a meal.
right? Like he didn't get the whole restaurant talking.
Why were
Right.
those acceptable flaws for you?
Because the more important boxes were checked.
Like what?
Like he was a hard worker. He loved the Lord. That's an obvious. He was a hard worker, and family was a core to him. Like everything else came second after God. So it made the other ones like it's worth moving forward.
But if he didn't release some of his selfishness, because he did, obviously, he's not going to the gym.
Right.
I love you, Len, but you're not going to the gym
Right.
anymore. So he let go of some of that. You didn't know that going into it. If he
No.
wouldn't have let go of that,
It would have been an issue.
you would
in our
have had
marriage.
major marital conflict, and
Major.
you might have ended up like Josh Harris saying, "We're just really different people."
Right. Yeah. Right.
I mean,
So how do you know?
yeah, I think a part of it for me is, I mean, obviously we're all sinners, but if someone's dragging you into their own sin and making excuses for it, that for me would be a conflict not worth going down.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Like
know?
if they're not willing to even see their
Yeah,
sin.
they're not even willing to budge or even say that they're living in sin. That would be,
Yeah, that's a good one, Kelly.
yeah.
That's a good one. I just don't know if I was mature enough spiritually, nor was Sarah, to be able to go, "Wow, Brian, you're selfish. You need to work on that."
Right.
Like I put her first sometimes, like movies, you know. What do you want to watch? Okay, fine, sure.
Gotta have that rom.
So then there are no red flags. Then you're saying
Well, no,
that you would help
it's
a
not that there
single
aren't
person.
red flags. It's that's the scary part. There are red flags in
So
everyone.
how do we know which ones to pay
By
attention
nature, we all have red flags because we're all sinners that fall short of the glory of God.
to?
And we all have our sin proclivities. So basically, in a future spouse, you're saying, I'm okay with this, that you struggle with this sin. It's not even necessarily about compatibility. It's accepting their weakness, right?
Yeah.
As an acceptable weakness.
Yeah.
That's depressing,
It is. I'm just saying.
isn't it?
But my
Yeah, I can
question.
put up with you.
You
know,
have to. You have to. There are certain things that you're going to say, I'm just going to take this. Janet says, I did not kiss until we had dated a year and a half. It protected me and kept my emotions
That's
protected.
a long time.
That's deep though. Once we were engaged, we lightly kissed. As a grown adult, I learned this worked, unlike when I was young. I missed red flags because I trusted too soon. Read his brain, her brain.
Yeah.
Physical contact causes physiological changes that create trust that may
Yes.
not be warranted.
Okay. Brilliant stuff, Janet.
Awesome.
Brilliant stuff. Now,
Awesome. Drop the mic, Janet.
were I in a horrible situation I don't want to be in, which I had to date as an adult, I think I would be able to walk down that road with confidence, in hindsight. But when you're late teens, mid-teens, early 20s, that's a level of maturity, and like when your hormones have even calmed down or have not calmed down yet, they're still
Yeah.
like raging, that can you do that?
So maybe this whole thing of
That
people
sounds
getting
horrible,
married later makes sense.
But we're not designed that way because look at biology in terms of, for
Women,
example,
yeah.
women's fertility starts to drop off after 30. So, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
it's easy for an adult to look at a kid, an adult who's been married and has been intimate, to go, it's not that great. You can wait.
Yeah, it's true. Janice says red flags aren't always bad. Some can be addressed and changed. That's a good point.
Yes, but some can't be changed.
Right.
It's true. Yeah.
So basically, y'all have no answers.
What about you? What are you doing?
She's asking.
I was the one that asked the question.
I mean, what were you thinking? Some guy.
I love Janet's point. Some guy what?
No, but what were you thinking? You're going out with some guy. He's cute.
Thank you, Janet.
What?
That's why you need to include older adults in these budding relationships.
What does that mean?
One of my most awesome mentors said that when you're dating, get that person around the older people or the wiser people. Like, go to the barbecues, go to the family dinners, have people watch them. But the question still comes up: what are you watching for?
No, but
As an older person, what would be a flag that you would say, Ron, you got to watch this one? I don't know about this one.
I got something when you're done.
If my daughter brought home a guy and I tried to make conversation with him and he was really not introverted, but like not interested, and wouldn't make eye contact with me, at first I'd want to shake his hand. If it was like he was kind of standoffish, I'd be concerned, and I'd tell her I'm not sure about this guy. If he could fake all that, confidence and stuff, but if he doesn't want to look me in the eye,
Right.
I have to wonder what his motives are with my daughter.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's when you tell him, I have guns, heavy equipment, and vacant land.
Hey! Whoa! Wow.
Whether it's true or not,
He is.
that'll
But I'd
keep
like
him
to
straight.
say, okay, so dial it back. What is dating? Because nothing would have scared me away from a girl more when I was younger than first date going, I brought this adult along to help me understand if we're compatible.
No, that's not.
Can I have a hamburger with her without anyone getting involved?
That's
Can I
not
go
what
to a
it
movie?
looks like. No.
No, but is it dating to go out a couple of times, grab dinner,
Oh yeah.
go to an amusement park?
Yeah.
That's dating?
They're saying as you.
Is that dating?
I don't know. I guess so. Yeah.
So why isn't it super weird to have all these outside influence? It's creepy. Like, wouldn't you have been scared away from a guy who wants to evaluate his marriage worthiness?
That's.
And you haven't even eaten a hamburger
You're
yet?
so extreme all the time. What I'm saying is, as you move closer to, like, before you get to the point where you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna get married. As you're moving into your relationships, take them around your family.
Yeah, that's good.
A lot of young people don't do that, and they feel like they just know everything. Or even older people, because they're older and single, they feel like that like you can't think objectively. So bring them to family events, and it doesn't have to be. Listen, they're going to be evaluating you. Just bring them around.
But you
The
realize,
wise people know how to do it without being all obvious.
but you realize that's really great advice for healthy dating, and that flies in the face of courtship ideas. I remember it being brought out into the whole world with the Jim Bob and Michelle. Remember the Duggars?
Duggars.
Yeah.
When their kids were courting, it was like it was a decision made between the two kids and the parents that they would be allowed to go on a date, one date, to share a meal, and the parents were there. That's so intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of intensity is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, can't I have a hamburger with you before everyone else is involved?
But mind you, what you're calling there's
I love
dating,
hamburgers.
and then there's formal relationships. That's the difference.
Right, and I think what you're saying makes sense, that as you move towards a formal relationship,
Yeah.
when it's getting serious, whatever
Yes.
that means at whatever age you are. When you're
Yeah.
in 7th grade, that means nothing.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's when you get dad involved.
Yeah.
Stop by to see the parents, come to the house,
Yeah.
do whatever. But do you
And
see what I'm
that's one
saying, though,
thing,
that it's
I'm-
unhealthy to thrust young people in front of adult supervision and some serious
So-
evaluation
yeah.
way too soon?
In Dominican Republic, this actually was a thing. Len had to travel 12 hours to go and meet my dad to ask permission to date me.
Ooh.
So I'm struggling with what it looks like today, number one, and in this country, number two, because I was caught in between two cultures, and my mom made me do stuff that was like, it didn't make sense here. So with my son, my 16-year-old son, poor guinea pig, we made that mistake. Like at first, I was like, if you're going to talk to somebody, because he's like, oh, I have a girlfriend. And then I'm like, okay, so Len would say, we got to meet her parents. And then I kind of talked to him behind the scenes. He's like, Ma, we're just like talking. We like barely see each other.
Yeah.
Then I said, you know what? As we're learning this, I get where you're going. And so I said, get to know, before you even bring it up to your dad, because then it just sounds really random all the time. I said, get to know the girl first. And when you're at a point where you're like, oh my gosh, this girl's cool, then bring it to your dad.
Good.
Then we can talk about, bring her over for dinner. But I'm stumbling through of like, what does it mean to like, I'm talking to a girl. And then 2 months later, I'm talking to this other girl. I'm like, dude, slow down. You're like in high school.
But to me, that's part of what Ron was talking about earlier, and I'm just dragging him into this again. There is value in like, hey, Jenny, let's go grab a burger. Let's go out to eat.
Yes.
And sitting down, two people, nobody else around, having a meal, does give you some sort of compatibility practice of some sort, which I think is healthy. Right?
Right. Can you, I answered Deborah's question. So what did the article say about dating causing divorce?
It was
His
part of the
book,
thesis
his
of the
idea
author.
was-
Yeah, the book, I Kissed Dating Goodbye, was in response to what he basically said, Joshua Harris. Joshua Harris, is that right? Yeah.
Josh Harris, yeah.
That
Joshua Harris, yes.
his idea, here, give me the
I
article.
got it. I'm sorry. I told you, yeah.
He said that traditional dating is a training ground for divorce because it puts people in the habit of quitting relationships when things get tough. That was the premise of his book,
Yeah.
which he followed that then and he kissed dating goodbye, and now he's getting divorced or separated. But so,
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't have any science to back it up, but I think it's a logical conclusion with a flawed response.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to mention what Janice said. Young adults need to learn to trust their parents, but that requires open communication between parents and children way before the time when dating begins. I agree big time with that. And even looking like my 9-year-old, he'll come up to me and be like, Mommy, he'll feel like embarrassed that he thinks girls are cute. And I'm already letting him know, like, no, you're supposed to. You're a boy. And what did you think was cute about her? Like, even though he's
Ew, I'm
like,
not telling my mom that.
he would tell me.
Wow.
But I agree with Janet in terms of he's not even close to in the dating age, but I'm letting him know, you can come to me. Like, it's not going to trip me out that it's like, what? You think somebody's cute and you're only 9. So he thinks it's funny, and he'll come and be like, look, that one's cute. You know, that kind of thing. And opening it up way before it's even time. I agree.
Well, and I would even say, like, while you're dating, if you see yourself distancing from the people who you have open communication with, like, note why are you trying to distance yourself from the people you trust.
Is
love
it
like
that.
Making an excuse?
Because that's a red flag, too. And that would be a red flag. Just examples of red flags. If I saw my sister, they're both married, so they don't count. My daughter in 10 years, bring a boyfriend in. I've heard stories like this.
10 years.
Where it's like, I know, right? Like 5. I've heard of like red flags of controlling boyfriends. And it doesn't look physical or like controlling in the beginning. It looks like he'll always be checking her phone, or always wherever she goes in a barbecue, for example, there he is. Like little red flags that family members can kind of pick up on. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not normal.
Right.
You know, so there are real red flags. And it disturbs me sometimes to see Christians say, no, like God will work everything out. No, there are times where Christians need to tell singles, you need to watch this one. This one may not be one. You know, like
I totally
not everything is going to be worked out. And there are some things that's like, dude, you should have seen that when you walked into it. That people could have helped you see. Like, you don't think?
No, I agree with that completely. I think that's a really good point. If you look at the other end of things, when we overdo this, right, you get a friend of my wife's, I remember this scenario. We met this guy, we loved him. They were dating for a little while. Really great guy. She's interested in marriage at some point in her life. He obviously is too. One day he finished the day at work. She calls him, is like, hey, let's go to the mall. And at the time, it was Minnesota's the Mall of America. So it's a big to-do to go to this place. And he was like, honestly, I'm super tired. You know, I'd rather not go to the mall today. So she broke up with him. Because if he really cared about her and was compatible, he would want to go to the mall when she wanted to.
Yeah.
And would love her sacrificially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally messed up.
Oh, yeah.
Guess what? Next girl he dated got married.
Messed up.
But do you see, when we don't give these realistic views of, you will have conflict,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
will have disagreement,
Yeah.
there are some incompatible things about you. Like Len going, what are we talking for? This is a restaurant, I'm supposed to eat.
What? I was like, what are you saying?
Oh man.
If you had been trained differently by your parents and by society, you would run.
Oh, yeah, because that's important to me. But one of the things that he says is, and he's told me this throughout the years, I can become anything that you need. Or he's like, I know he can't, but his idea is, I'm willing to. And I think if you have a man that says that, you'll take anything, and you'll know we'll grow together because you're loving me sacrificially and vice versa. These conversations are important because if as Christians we're saying divorce is a sin and family is foundational, we have to stop letting singles stumble through kind of without help. Like just like, oh, you'll figure it out, just date, and then
All that matters is he loved Jesus.
yes, yeah. Even if it means telling our single adults or single kids, like, we'll figure it out with you. I mean, I don't got the perfect answer, but we'll we got to try to figure it out. I love the topic. Scott, I haven't seen your name in a while. He says, just as we shouldn't let culture define marriage, we also ought not let culture define the steps we take to get to marriage. While the Bible doesn't use the word dating, there are many excellent guidelines from the Bible for a proper pre-marriage relationship.
Sure.
Do you have one handy? Or Ron?
What about
I do.
when Ruth
It's better not
went
be
to
song.
Boaz and pulled the sheet off of his feet and laid down at his feet in the threshing floor? I think that one's pretty helpful.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we actually overestimate how helpful it is. Don't let that sound terrible.
Okay.
Don't have sex before you're married.
Is it?
Isn't that the boundary? Like, sex is within marriage. Well, what about a really long hug? What about a not side hug, but a full front tight hug? What about a kiss? What about an open mouth kiss? What? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know any verse about that. So I don't want to, what we do when we give pat answers is we leave people like scratching their heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you leave, if you go to a young person, well, God says don't have sex until you're married. And then it's a wonderful thing. And be sure that they put Jesus first. That's all you need. Is it?
Yeah.
There's other layers of compatibility we've been discussing that are complicated, hard to understand, difficult to navigate, that go far beyond those two, true and important, yet not, like, it's got to be more than that.
Even in the thing of what to look for in a mate, I did not look like no Proverbs 31 woman at all. When let me not say at all. I love the Lord. I'm just saying, if he would have had that.
You have the rest of the chapter to go.
I mean, that was like a beginner's, But if that's what I try to remind myself as a mother of 4 boys, to like remember she is not going to walk in like a Proverbs 31 woman. So I need to calm down and remember who I was. I had the beginning steps and the potential. But even that, you can't just strictly be like, do you look like the guy in Titus or Timothy? You talk about 18, 23. Am I tripping?
No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So,
because it sounds good for everybody else's kid, but does it sound good enough for you to say, all you need, Elijah, Isaiah, Jonah, Josiah, all you need is they put Jesus first and that you don't have sex. That's all you need.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Would you be comfortable with
They're
that?
gonna be and my kids will ask you, okay, Ma, so what does that mean? That doesn't make any sense. And they'll
But we do this in church.
Yeah,
do?
we do.
Hi Aaron, guys, we're gonna have to go. This was awesome. Montina, remember?
She's back. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's laughing at Brian. Good job, Monty. Quantaya, Kenny, Aretha, oh, I love your name. Rob, Christina, Melanie, Damaris, I haven't seen your name in a while. Kristen, Matthew, Rosemary, I love when you join us. Jennifer, thank you.
Yeah,
Please
guys.
read the comments. So much wisdom always from the family.
Yeah.
So I know I'll be going back at the comments and reading them because I need them. I am right in the thick of things.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
Thanks, guys.
What do we need? Land and a gun, Ron? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
That's right.
Vacant land and heavy equipment. That's
Oh.
it.
There you go.
Christy, love your comment. I'll be reading that off air.
All right. Thanks.